Welcome to the Explainer. All right, let's just dive right into this, because today we are unpacking what is literally one of the most fascinating historical thought experiments imaginable. I mean, it is the ultimate military what-if scenario. We're going to look at what happens when you bridge a 1,000-year gap in military evolution and smash two of the most legendary warrior cultures together into one unified army in iron and steel, the Legionnaire Samurai synthesis. If you love tactical analysis and historical hypotheticals, you are going to be completely captivated by how these two forces interact.
So, let's set the stage here. What if Rome and the samurai allied? I want you to plunge right into this thought experiment with me. Imagine, just by some crazy magical occurrence, a Roman legion and a samurai army are transported through time and space to the exact same battlefield. But they aren't fighting each other. No, they're fighting side by side as allies against the common foe. Our source material today breaks down exactly why the result of this union would be one of the most tactically perfect military machines in human history.
Now you might be thinking, hold on, these are two completely different cultures from entirely different eras. How on earth could they possibly mesh? Well, the secret actually lies in their shared foundations. Look at this: absolute dedication to martial engineering, strict military hierarchies, and rigid battlefield doctrine. Despite the massive geographic and chronological gap between them, these three shared pillars would make them a terrifyingly complementary allied force. They essentially speak the exact same fundamental language of war.
So, let's move to the first phase of combat and see how this actually plays out on the field. Section 1. Rome, the immovable anchor.
When we're talking about the Roman side of this alliance, we really have to slow our pace down to match the heavy, methodical, totally cold-blooded discipline of their infantry. On the field of battle, the Roman legions aren't doing the running. They form the immovable center anchor of this joint alliance using the scuda. These are large, interlocking, rectangular shields used by the legionaries to create what is essentially an impenetrable wall of iron and wood. Just imagine being the enemy force looking across the field at this. You aren't just facing soldiers, you're facing a massive, reinforced barricade that simply refuses to break.
But, the Romans don't just stand there like sitting ducks. As the enemy advances toward that shield wall, they unleash a devastating opening volley of pila. These heavy javelins are brilliantly engineered with a very specific purpose in mind. They're designed to pierce armor and, crucially, to bend right upon impact. Why does a bent javelin matter? Well, because if it hits an enemy's shield, that bent metal means it can't be easily pulled out or thrown back. It literally drags the enemy's shield down, rendering their frontline defenses entirely useless before they even reach the Roman lines.
And then the lines collide. Right, so the crucial part is what happens next in this grinding frontal assault. The Romans draw their gladii. These short stabbing swords are basically the tools of a close-quarters meat grinder. They utilize them with absolute machine-like efficiency in brutal, systematic close-quarters drilling. It wasn't about wild, swinging combat, right? It was step, stab, step, stab. They are perfectly designed to pin the enemy into a grinding, inescapable frontal assault.
Which brings us right to the second half of our alliance. Section 2. Samurai. High velocity, lethality.
So, while Rome is pinning the enemy down in that slow, brutal meat grinder, the samurai inject massive kinetic energy into the whole situation. They provide the rapid, fluid, high-velocity lethality that the Roman legions, honestly, historically lacked. In the early stages of this combat scenario, while the Romans are holding the center, the samurai are acting as master horse archers wielding the yumi. These massive, asymmetrical longbows were utilized to rain armor-piercing arrows onto the enemy flanks from absolutely incredible distances. So you've got the Roman wall holding the front and the samurai flying around the edges, delivering peerless, lethal precision from horseback.
Just watch how this tactical sequence unfolds chronologically. It is a thing of beauty. Step 1, you've got the heavy javelin volley from the Romans, destroying the enemy's shields. Step 2, the Roman shield wall crashes in for the pin. Step 3, that armor-piercing arrow rain from the samurai, capitalizing on the pinned enemy. And finally, Step 4, a shock cavalry flank by the samurai. The synergy here is absolutely unreal. Rome is the anvil, and the samurai, they're the hammer.
Let's zoom in on that final devastating step. Once the Roman shield wall has the enemy firmly locked into place, the samurai transition from horse archers into elite shock cavalry. Wielding their curved swords, the katana, and their long spears, the yari, they charge directly into the exposed flanks and rear of the distracted enemy. This perfectly timed strike is designed to totally shatter enemy resolve and cause an absolute rout.
Moving on to Section 3, Engineering and Martial Ethos.
Let's actually step back from the physical combat for just a second. Because as we know, an army doesn't just win on the battlefield, it wins through logistics, administration, and psychology. And the genius of this combined army is that they're just as unstoppable off the battlefield as they are on it. On the left side here, we have Roman engineers and their famous fortified marching camps, complete with trenches and palisades, providing a totally secure base of operations literally anywhere in the world. And on the right side, complementing this perfectly, the samurai act as brilliant scouts and elite vanguard commanders. Rome builds the impenetrable base, and the samurai secure the perimeter and map out the territory.
And the psychological synergy? It's just as bulletproof. We are talking about a shared code of fanatical loyalty, perfectly mirroring the fierce pride in the Roman eagle standard. Both of these groups are bound by a completely uncompromising dedication to their duty and their commanders. There's no communication breakdown in their will to win. That is for sure.
Ultimately, it all boils down to this: a flawless synthesis of defensive iron and offensive steel. You've got the defensive iron of that impenetrable Roman shield wall, perfectly matched with the offensive steel of the samurai shock cavalry. Together, these two legendary warrior cultures would absolutely conquer any foe that dared to stand in front of them.
So here's the crucial question I want to leave you with today. What modern military force could possibly withstand this flawless synthesis of ancient iron and steel? If these two perfectly complementary historical forces were united, their logistical, psychological, and tactical dominance would be almost unimaginable. It's crazy to think about how these ancient tactics echo even in modern military doctrine today. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this breakdown sparked your curiosity as much as it did mine. Keep exploring those wild tactical what-ifs, and I will catch you on the next one.